How do you take down America without firing a shot? How do you do that? Because obviously that would be the only way that they could take down America, is to figure out a way to do it without firing a shot. Why would they want to do that? Why would they want to take down America without firing a shot? Well, because they know that there's millions of firearms in America. They know that the citizenry of America has access to millions and millions, probably billions, of firearms and ways for people to defend themselves. Why would they want to go up against that when they can do it without firing a shot? How to take down America without firing a shot? Psychological warfare, that's how. Invasion of a foreign power in this country through covert means. Let's look at the year in review. Let's look at a couple of years in review. Let's look at the past decade in review and see what has happened here. Well, in order to take down and subjugate the citizenry of any nation without firing a shot, you have to make up a shitload of lies. You have to use other means. You have to use the people's own vivid imaginations. You have to create never-ending enemies that put the people in fear. Not an enemy that you can see or define or identify. It has to be a type of never-ending enemy, a type of invisible enemy. Let's take 9/11. Let's take what we're going through with the medical tyranny and the make-believe enemy. In 9/11, they created an enemy called terrorism. That enemy really couldn't be defined as any one person, any one government. It was just a nebulous term called terrorism. Then what came next? Well, another enemy was established in this last year, this last couple of years. What would that enemy be? Well, that enemy would be a germ. Something that you couldn't really define, something that you might not know really exists. Does it exist or doesn't exist? Does it not exist? Well, that would be up to your imagination and your belief system and your perceptions. And perceptions are easily molded, just like the perception of that there are terrorists that need to be defeated. Anything could be a terrorist. Now it's a germ that is a terrorist, and it's attacking our country, according to those who want to spread that lie. Use fear. Fear of terrorism, fear of a germ, fear of germ terrorism. And then, when we create these never-ending enemies, then we can frighten the people into thinking that it's going to kill them. The terrorists are going to kill them. The germs are going to kill them. It's absolutely phenomenal, the shit that people buy into. The never-ending enemies. Why do I say never-ending? Because terrorism is never-ending. Germs are never-ending. The threat of dying from some massive spread of a germ. And people believe this shit. If you can't see it, you can't define it, you can't identify it, then it's just your imagination and it's just your belief system. That's like saying, well, aliens are here. You can't see them, they live amongst us, but they're here, so they created a different kind of alien, a little tiny little alien, a germ alien. You can't see it, you can't identify it, you're not a scientist, you're not a biologist. Oh, what better way? Because people will just rely on word, on propaganda, on, well, we said it so, and so it is. They put their trust in authoritarian institutions that define shit for you. And you readily accept it. Why? Because you've bought into that whole narrative of that they know what's best for us, and they must not be telling us a lie, because a lie wouldn't be that big, would it? Would a lie be that big? No, I believe in little lies, but would a lie be that big? Would a lie be so big and overwhelming that you'd almost have to believe it? That's what they've done. And when they propagate these lies, like terrorism or a germ theory or a massive spread of some type of germ, you're dealing with something that you can't put your finger on. You're dealing with something that is made up. You're dealing with something that because they said it is so, it is so. Not because there's any real proof, but because they said it was so. And who's they? Well, they is the few people that are operating as a, let's call it a foreign invasion on the Constitution, America, our civil rights, our inalienable rights, our natural rights. How do we do this? How do we take over without firing a shot? By scaring the shit out of people and having them comply with ridiculous new laws, rules, mandates, that if you look at the face of it makes no sense whatsoever. That's how they are doing it. They can't fight an armed civilization, so what will they do? They will disarm the people psychologically. They will scare the shit out of people psychologically so that they fear their neighbors. Oh, he could be a terrorist. I mean, this runs the whole gamut right across the spectrum, from gun control, having firearms, having freedoms, having the ability to move about as you wish, having the ability to choose as you wish as to what you want to put in your body. Once they venture upon that sacred ground of your own right to your own decisions and your own free choice, once they scare you into thinking that everybody could be your enemy, including your own family, turning one person against the other, breaking up the nuclear family, or the family unit as we have always known it, turning one person against the other, making one person fear the other person. The never-ending enemy of fear, the never-ending enemy of a germ, the never-ending enemy of some kind of terrorism. No, there's not an enemy that you can see. There's not a foreign power invading the land. There's not hordes running across America. There is only an imaginary enemy. The imaginary enemy of terrorism, the imaginary enemy of the germ, the imaginary enemy. So we must take extreme measures and emergency measures to defeat these enemies. And these extreme measures are house arrest. House arrest. That's another word for what they're doing. House arrest, muzzling people, distancing people from one another so that they can't talk and reason things out. That's what they're doing. That's what they will continue to do on into 2022. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. How long do pandemics last? How many kind of variants can you come up with? Let's start with the letter A and work our way right down through the letter Z, the whole alphabet, and we can create any kind of variant of a germ. And just when people think that we have lied to them about, well, you won't get this if you take this, and they find out they're seemingly getting it anyway, or they're perceiving that they're getting it. How about the common cold? How about the common flu that has always been with us as animals on this planet? How about building up natural immunity? How about not worrying about every little sniffle you get? They have put people in abject terror. They are the terrorists. They are the ones that are terrorizing people. They are the germ that is infecting the minds of the populace. Psychological warfare, mass psychosis. And this stuff is easily done now because you got technology. The word technology, our biggest enemy, is technology. Because technology has made it so that you don't know right from wrong, good from evil. It's just a massive, massive saturation of your mind with talking heads and spreading of lies. And you're buying into it. They don't need to fire a shot to take down America. They don't need to fire a shot to decimate the Constitution of the United States, or any constitution for that matter, or any form of natural right or natural law. All they need to do is scare the shit out of people and turn one against the other. Divide and conquer. Been around for ages. Creating the perception that there's two sides of a political party when there really isn't. Creating the perception of one person has to be against another person, or one side has to be against another side. One party is better than the other party. One religion is better than the other religion. One racial group of people is better than another racial group of people. Critical race theory, the woke movement, the race movement, BLM, Antifa, MAGA. We got all these different, the Patriot movement, the Truther movement. We got all these absurd factions fighting one another, triumphing one another. It's our side. God is on our side. No, God's on our side. No, God's on our side. When really people don't even know who God is, which is another fiction. Your concept of who God is only anything that you've been told. Nothing has been proven. Has God come down and sat on your lap? Have you seen any goodness come from anything political, governmental, religious? No, all you've seen is division, war, racism, embedded in belief systems. Oh, they're going to take your freedom away without firing a shot, and they already have, because masses of people, families are actually turning against one another. Oh, we got a germ here, and one family member does what the powers to be say they must do in order to be free of any kind of germ, while another person in the family goes, I'll use my immunity, natural immunity. So one side of the family member is already fearing the other side of the family and distancing themselves, turning against them, wondering if the family member that wishes to use their natural immunity is somehow going to make them sick, when actually it's quite the opposite. So the family unit has been decimated, the Constitution has been decimated, technology has been put into full gear, and the simple way of life that we once knew no longer exists. The new normal. I'm not into the new normal. I'm into the old normal. I'm into previous normal, before technology. I'm into the kind of normal that the Native Americans of this land enjoyed. They hunted, they gathered, They lived off the land. They had no technology. They used natural means of curing themselves, natural herbs, which are 1,000 times more powerful than any kind of pharmaceutical. Another lie that has been propagated by big business, the big pharma industry, in collusion with the mainstream media who they support, and in collusion with the government, who wants you to die, not to live. And any time that they say they're doing something in order for people to survive and to live and to be healthy and free, any time that they institute measures where you can't move around and you are muzzled, breathing your own carbon dioxide till you fall over, the invisible enemy, the enemy that is in your mind, not in reality. I'm going to believe whatever they say. Really? Really? Look around you. Believe what you can see, not what people tell you. And it's time for all you gun people out there. See, there's gun people and then there's gun people. There's gun people, that are very serious about maintaining freedom, and then there's other gun people that just want to play around and have fun. The reason that they're using an enemy where they don't have to fire a shot is because they're afraid of the firearm community. It's obvious. Look at what the new administration's doing. Look at what the last administration, yes, the last administration, any administration, any government, Congress, all of those jackasses, murdering psychos, look what they have done to infringe upon your constitutional rights. Freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms, freedom to be unmolested in your personal property or your body. Let's review, and this is what I've been doing, how they have slowly made incursions with an invisible force into your reality. Into your reality. Little green men have come down, and we must institute emergency measures to protect you. That's about as insane as this whole germ theory pandemic and the terrorism thing working hand in hand. They can use those things to work hand in hand. Oh, you're a terrorist if you don't do this. Now you're a domestic terrorist. Now you're this kind of terrorist. Now you're a medical terrorist. Now you're this. I mean, this shit could go on and on. This is the never-ending enemy that you are facing. And really, what is the enemy? Well, it's your own self. It's your own stupidity. And they know this. It's your own fears, your own ignorance. Your own ignorance. Your own passivity. Your own belief that somebody else will clean up the problem. That's not going to happen despite what these truthers and patriots and this and that and the military's going to save you. Really, people? They're part of the problem. Cops in the military, order followers. We take orders. We don't ask any questions. We take orders. Go subjugate the population. Go round them up. Okay. Yes, sir. It is time for people to rise up. Because this last decade, ever since 9/11, even before, I mean, actually this shit goes subjugation and all this stuff, fear, using germ theory, taking people's firearms. That goes way back even to the Native American community, because that's what they did to them. They took their guns, and if they managed to get guns, well, they took their ammo, they took their powder. Or if they wanted to kill off a certain group of people, they just issued them blankets with smallpox on it. That was a real pandemic. This shit you're seeing today, there's no basis in the scientific community for it whatsoever. Not being proved, only being told. Only to institute new laws, new regulations, new procedures, new mandates, and a new way of thinking. You're being held up by outlaws, just like in the Old West, when the outlaw thought up all kinds of devious ways to make money off of, or to corral, or to rob, or to thief, to take advantage, to take things that weren't theirs, to manipulate stuff. That was the old outlaw. And you had the man with the 6 gun that always stood up to him, and it's time for that again. It's time. Hang 'em high. Oh, but nobody's worried about shit until they come knocking down your fucking front door. And then you might grab your gun and be outnumbered. And that's how they will try to do it, in small groups of people, with small forces, with small SWAT teams, with small missions. One group of people, one person, one dissenting voice at a time. Are you going to let that happen to you? Because it's happening right now. I wanted to go back to the old way. I wanted to go back to how life used to be before all this technological crap and all this super slick ways to hypnotize and brainwash and create mass psychoses, or a mass psychosis in people. Think about these things. There's so many ways that they trick. It's just like the old shell and pea game, where you could never find the pea under the shell because the guy's hand was too fast, or he slipped it up his sleeve. Another con artist. The major con artists are in control now. They work on your lack of knowledge. They work on your lack of critical thinking. They work on your lack of imagination. Or maybe they work on your imagination in the way that they get you to imagine all kinds of things that aren't there. Maybe that's what they do. That is what they do. But there's a different kind of imagination involved here that you can use. Imagine all the bad things that people can do to you and you may not even fucking know they're doing it. Imagine that. Instead of accepting everything, imagine, can people lie? Can people propagate false information? How easy is that to do? Imagine what could happen if people succumb to that. You can't let the bad guys take control. You need to hang them high. You need to lock and load. And you need to create a force in this land that instigates action, movement, not passivity, not standing around again with your thumb up your ass thinking somebody else is going to take care of the problem. It ain't going to happen. Quit watching your bullshit out there and thinking that one theory or one narrative of somebody coming in and making everything right is going to happen, and all you got to do is wait. Waiting is death. Waiting is death. Waiting is all your freedom's gone. Waiting is a coward's way. A coward's way. Not a warrior way. Not a justice way. Not a stand up for your natural rights. A little frontier justice is needed. Oh, but it'll never go back to normal. It'll never go back to pre-technology. What a dumb shit attitude that is, too. Things can't go backwards, man. Really? I got news for you. One X-class flare from the sun in a magnitude of 30 will put us all back to campfires and living off the land, because it'll melt every chip and every circuit board in the grid. And this is fact. So don't think you can't go back to a different way. You could be back there overnight. That probably would be the best thing. A lot of people would die, but the ones that were survivors and the ones that lived off the land, like the natives of this land, who know how to be self-sufficient. People are not self-sufficient. They're dependent on the nanny, on the tit of the government and those in control, and on their technology, and on their ease of living. You'll get what you deserve. And if you deserve to get that, you will, because you deserve whatever your cowardice and laziness brings about on you. I thought I would start this new year off, or the pre-new year off, with a bang. Bang, 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 bang. You get my drift? I'm tired of the bullshit, and so is everybody else. But the only way you're going to get rid of it is to take action and quit being a whining fucking baby. I don't know what else I can say. Maybe that's enough for today. You think? Adios.